Brand new from Mary Mac Bakehouse, the Pancake Gift Box. Order a loved one breakfast this Christmas at marymacpodcast.com. Contains 2 bags of pancake mix, coffee, syrup, and a Mary Mac gift. That's marymacpodcast.com.
Hello and welcome to In the Kitchen with Mary Mac. Today we have a couple more soups for you. These soups were both recipes that I created largely because of 1, necessity, and 2, not being able to see really well. The first recipe is for broccoli cheese soup. The second recipe is ham, collard greens, and bean soup. For the broccoli cheese soup, I buy frozen chopped spinach. I use it all the time and stuff, so I always have a couple. It comes in like these little boxes, if you know what I mean. They're like a little box that's like, I don't know, like a half pound, and they're wrapped in paper, and it just says like chopped spinach and has a picture of chopped spinach on the label. So I was buying some chopped spinach, or so I thought, got it home, put it in the freezer, and a couple days later got it out to make something with, and lo and behold, it was actually chopped broccoli, which doesn't look anything like chopped spinach, nor does the word broccoli look like the word spinach, but somehow or other, I managed to buy chopped broccoli. So I had to do something with it because I thought, I'm not going to waste this. So I decided to make broccoli cheese soup. Now, you should know here, my husband really doesn't like cheese and actually kind of hates cheese. So I wanted to make it with enough cheese for the cheese flavor, but not enough that it was like this super cheesy thing. So this broccoli cheese soup doesn't have a lot of cheese in it, but it does have a lot of flavor. You can add more cheese to it if you want to, but as is, it has a very nice flavor, and it's not like this real heavy, cheesy soup. So here we go. You need 1 10-ounce package of frozen chopped broccoli that has been thawed, a 1/3 cup of butter, 1 small onion minced, 1 clove of garlic minced, a 1/3 cup of flour, 1 cup of milk, 1 cup of chicken broth. You can use bouillon that's been dissolved in a cup of water, and 5 slices of real American cheese, or 5 ounces of real American cheese or cheddar cheese. Okay, so what you're going to do is get a 4-quart saucepan that has a heavy bottom, because you don't want to scorch, you've got a lot of milk and cheese and stuff going on. You don't want to scorch it. So a nice 4-quart heavy bottom saucepan. You're going to melt the butter, add the onion and garlic, and saute until tender. And then you're going to add that 1/3 cup of flour and stir it well. You're making a roux here. Once it's blended, you're going to add the milk and blend it really well so that everything is a nice smooth consistency. And you're going to cook and stir until it just starts to thicken. And this takes a few minutes, so just be patient. And just cook and stir, and don't let it scorch, be careful with it. I would say do this over like medium-low heat is a good heat for this. Okay, once it starts to thicken, add your 1 cup of chicken broth. And like I said, you can just use a cup of boiling water and 1 chicken bouillon cube to make the chicken broth, or you can use canned or your own chicken broth. Bring it to a light boil after you add that chicken broth. And once you get it just like a nice little simmering boil, add the cheese 1 ounce at a time and stir to melt and blend. So you get this nice kind of cheesy looking sauce. Okay. Once you get it a nice consistency where the cheese is melted and everything, add the chopped broccoli and then bring it back to a light boil, which will take a few minutes. Once it gets that little bit of a very light boil to it, reduce it to a simmer and let it simmer for 15 to 20 minutes. Add salt and pepper to taste and a shot of Tabasco if you like. I think I did that the second time I had it, the leftover time, and it was good. So there you go. That's a pretty simple soup. It doesn't make a ton, but it makes enough for, 2 to 3 people. And it was actually pretty tasty. So, and it also used up my mistakes. So that was a big plus there.
And I'm sure you can always double it as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you accidentally buy 2 packages of frozen chopped broccoli, you could double it. No, it would be easy to double. So there you go. And like I said, you can add more cheese to this. If you like more cheese, add more cheese to it. I've had some very cheesy broccoli soups, but I thought this was like, it seemed to me like it was just right, just enough flavors that blended really well, and it was tasty. So there you go. There's that one. The next one, it started out to be ham and bean soup, and then I found this can of chopped collard greens that I had, and I thought, oh, I bet that'd be really good in there. So I put it in, and it was really good in there. So I wrote down what I did before I forgot it, and I have the recipe. Now, this recipe calls for a cup of ham broth. If you don't have ham broth or don't want to make ham broth or don't want to go to the mess of it, you can just use water. If you want to make a broth with ham, one of the best ways to do that is to have a bone-in ham or a bone-in ham steak for dinner or something, and then just boil that ham bone with a little bit of meat left around it and make a broth out of it. But that might make more than you want. But that's a way to do it. What I did when I did this, we had cooked a ham, and I generally, when I cook a ham, like if I bake a ham in the oven or a chicken or something like that, I will save the broth off of it if I'm not going to use it. I will let the broth cool, pour it through a sieve to strain it, and then put it in a container and freeze it. So I always have a few little different kinds of broths in there. You can do this with beef broth, like make a roast and save the broth, or anything really. And it's a pretty easy way to keep yourself stocked with broth. So if you want to do that, but like I said, if you don't have ham broth, water is fine. So here we go. Ham, collard greens, and bean soup. To make this, you will need 1 can of seasoned collard greens, the chopped seasoned collard greens, and it's like a 14 to 15 ounce can. I used Glory brand, but whatever brand you get would be fine. But just make sure they're the chopped ones, because they're in tiny little pieces and they work really well. And then you'll need about a pound of cubed smoked ham to add to this, and 3 cans of Great Northern beans. So that's kind of your shopping list there. So here we go. You need 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 large onion diced, and 2 cloves of garlic minced. And you're going to saute the onion and the garlic in that 2 tablespoons of olive oil until they're clear, just like the last soup, nice and clear. Then you're going to add 1 cup of ham broth or water to that pan. And again, you can use like a heavy bottomed saucepan or Dutch oven for this, but you're going to need about I don't know, it might fit in a 4-quart, but I would use like about a 6-quart pan for this. So once you get those sauteed, you're going to add your 1 cup of ham broth or water, and then add 2 cups of carrots sliced, 1 teaspoon of liquid smoke, and 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. And let that cook until the carrots are just starting to get tender, not too tender, but put it in a low boil for about 15 minutes, and that'll make the carrots just start to get tender. Then, once you're at that stage, you're going to add 1 can of seasoned collard greens, like I said, 14 to 15 ounce. Pour that in without draining it, and then take that can and fill it with water and pour that can of water in, and then you kind of rinse your can out too, okay? So now that you add the collard greens, you're going to boil that for 15 minutes. Not at like a heavy boil, but like I said, like a low boil. Once you get that stage done, you're going to add 3 cans of northern beans with liquid. So those would be like a 15-ounce can also. So 3 cans of northern beans with the liquid, pour that in, bring it back to a boil, and boil that for 15 minutes. Once you're past that stage, you can add 1 pound of cubed smoked ham. And you can buy like a small ham. A lot of the grocery stores sell these they're like a half round piece of ham. You could buy a ham steak, anything like that, or use leftover ham that you have. But about a pound of cubed smoked ham, put that in and return it to a low boil, and then turn it to low and let it simmer for 2 to 3 hours at a very low simmer. You can also, at this point, put the whole thing in a crock pot and then let it cook slow. And once it's cooked, it is delicious. It's one of the best soups that I've made. I really liked it. So I don't even have any serving suggestions with it. I just ate it with nothing else but this delicious soup.
Now, is there a substitute that you could use for liquid smoke if you don't like the flavor of that or if you can't find it?
If you can't find liquid smoke, liquid smoke, okay, in the grocery store, liquid smoke is usually right by all the barbecue sauce. If you don't like liquid smoke, leave it out, okay? You don't need it. But if you do like it, definitely use it. I got Stubbs liquid smoke, and it's really good. It's very good. I like it. And then the Worcestershire sauce, it's kind of all where all the sauces are. So I had to laugh. I always have a hard time pronouncing it.
Does it just say Worcestershire and then everyone will be mad at you?
Well, I heard somebody do that joke the other day, and it was so funny. And he said, add Worcestershire sauce. I can't say Worcestershire sauce. It was just so funny. I'm like, oh, that's what I do. So yeah, that gives it a really good flavor. But this is and the thing is, the seasoned collard greens also have a very lightly smoky, spicy flavor to them. So that they add a lot. It was just so flavorful. I like a flavorful soup that you build, like a gumbo or that kind of a thing. I really like that. And this is a very flavorful soup. And I realize there's some steps there, and it's going to take several hours to make this soup. But once you get through the sauteing and the adding the vegetables and stuff and adding the ham, once you get through that, like I said, if you did it in a Dutch oven, you could take it at that point and put it in the oven, on 325 degrees and let it cook in the oven, or you could put it in a crock pot and let it cook for several hours on low in the crock pot, and it would be really good. So,
and really, anything where you're building levels of rich flavors, it's gonna take time.
Right. So those are two different soups to add to my long list of soup recipes that we've given you. And this is a great time to make soup. It's after Thanksgiving, the weather's turning cold. Just something different to do. So make yourself some soup. You'll feel better.
And make sure to check us out online on Facebook and Instagram at Mary Mac Bakehouse, on Twitter at Mobile Mary Mac and Mary Mac Podcast, and on our website, marymacpodcast.com. In person, you can also see us at Standing Chimney the first Saturday of December. That's the last open day before we're closed for winter.
Thanks a lot for listening if you did, and if you didn't, too bad for you.